Questions for reflection. In our first reading for today's Holy Mass, taken from chapter 3 of the book of Samuel, we hear of the call of the Lord to the young, soon-to-become prophet, Samuel. He was ministering under the leadership of Eli. Eli was an old man whose eyesight was failing. And at the time this call came, we read in the first verse of this same chapter, and I quote, "The word of the Lord was rare in those days, and there was no frequent vision," end quote. It takes several times before Samuel, with the help of the elderly Eli, finally discerns that the voice he was hearing, the call he was receiving, was not from Eli, but from the Lord. Not only is this account part of the history of the Lord's wonderful dealings with Israel, it also has a spiritual lesson for all of us. We need to learn to listen for the Lord, and through prayer and growth in the Christian life, we can learn to hear His voice. In our responsorial psalm, we hear that David, the psalmist and prophet, did just that. He learned to hear the Lord. In our second reading, taken from the Apostle Paul's letter to the Corinthians, the context is helpful. At Corinth, Paul found that the believers were becoming confused about the full teaching of the gospel and were being led astray by some false teachers who were in the church. In the portion we hear on this Lord's Day, he's contending with immoral behavior in the community. At root, it revealed a failure to understand that the Lord came to save the whole person, body, soul, and spirit. The teaching of the church is that redemption will be complete when we, like the Lord Himself, are raised bodily. And our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit. Our bodies are not simply some form of carrying case. No, we are Christians. Jesus assumed a human body and was raised in a glorified body. He's come to save the whole person. Do we believe this? How do we view our body? The gospel today is taken from the first chapter of the fourth gospel, the one written by the beloved disciple John. It contains the call of the first disciples in response to the witness of the baptizer, pointing him out, and their response to the words of Jesus. They asked him where he was staying, and he said, "Come and see." Jesus is calling each one of us to follow him. He invites each one of us to come and see. At every Holy Mass, we hear his word proclaimed and are invited to receive him, body, blood, soul, and divinity, in the most holy Eucharist. Do we believe this? Is it changing our lives as it changed the lives of the early Christians? It can. It should.